BBC-GETTYBrexit News. The transmission deal will still give an inordinate amount of control to the EU. The MP for North East Somerset appeared on the programme to discuss the breakthrough transition agreement proposed by the government and the EU over the weekend. The transmission deal will still give an inordinate amount of control to the EU over many aspects of the UK economy until the end of 2020. When asked about his thoughts, Mr. Rees-Mogg said, "I have no qualms about a no deal." Newsnight presenter Emily Maitlis said, "No qualms as you would still embrace one." Mr. Rees-Mogg replied, "No deal is better than a bad deal." The Prime Minister said this herself. "I'm just quoting back what the Prime Minister said and I support her in this." She mentioned this in her Mansion House speech just over a week or so ago. Ms. Maitlis continued, "So actually, the worse the deal looks, the happier you are to walk away and say we are better off." The MP for North East Somerset interjected, "I do not like this transition deal. But as I said earlier, it is acceptable in the event that the end deal is good, but on its own, this transition deal is deeply unsatisfactory and the government has given away too much." The MP for North East Somerset, who is also the chair of the European Research Group, said the government had rolled over too easily. GETTYBrexit News. Brexit Secretary David Davis hailed the agreement as a significant step. He said, "This agreement gives away almost everything and it is very hard to see what the government has got in return. Somebody told me the government has rolled over but hasn't had its tummy tickled. Now, the question then is what is the end state? Many of us can swallow a good deal that is unsatisfactory in the transition if it leads to a proper Brexit in the end." The interview comes as Mr. Rees-Mogg announced he will be taking to the seas to protest the recent report. Brexit Secretary David Davis hailed the agreement as a significant step, following talks with EU chief negotiator Michel Barnier in Brussels. But there was fury in Tory ranks amid claims that there had been a betrayal of the UK's fishing industry and the transitional deal would leave Britain bound by rules from Brussels it no longer had a say in. GETTYBrexit News. Theresa May said a no deal was better than a bad one. Some issues remain to be settled, including the thorny question of the Irish border and the governance of the eventual withdrawal agreement. The European Commission's proposals for backstop arrangements for the Irish border remain in the new text, despite being angrily rejected by Mrs. May when first published last month. They will be the subject of intense negotiation in the months leading up to the deadline for a final agreement in October. Scottish Tory MP Douglas Ross said, "There is no spinning this as a good outcome. It would be easier to get someone to drink a pint of cold sick than try to sell this as a success." Meanwhile, Tony Blair's former Chief of Staff Jonathan Powell, who played a major role in the Northern Ireland peace process, warned the Irish border question could bring the Brexit negotiations crashing down. He said Mrs. May has committed the worst possible sin a negotiator can commit, having boxed herself in an article for The Independent.